For some of the most incredible creatures on our planet, there's a silent countdown ticking away. Today, we're diving into India's amazing biodiversity to understand the one official system that tells us who's winning and who's losing the race against extinction. All right, let's get right into it. So let's start with the big question. We all hear the word endangered, right? But what does that label actually mean? How do scientists go from seeing an animal in the wild to putting it on a global red alert list? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. The answer, believe it or not, lies inside a book. But this isn't just any book. Think of it like an official logbook for all life on Earth. It's literally the most complete inventory we have for tracking the status of every single known species out there. And it's called the Red Data Book. Now, don't think of it as just a report. It's more like a vital, state-sanctioned record of every life form that's facing the threat of being wiped out. And we're talking about everything, from the tiniest fungi all the way up to the biggest animals. So who's behind this whole thing? Well, the authority behind it is super important. It's published by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. You've probably heard of them as the IUCN. And this has been the global gold standard since way back in 1966. Its entire purpose is to get everyone on the same page, to create one central, reliable source of info to help guide conservation work everywhere. And here's where it gets really clever. The book uses this simple but incredibly powerful color-coded system. The pink pages, well, they list the species that are critically endangered. The more pink pages you see, the worse the crisis is. But then you have the green pages, and these are a total symbol of hope. They list species that used to be endangered but have now recovered. It's like a literal balance sheet of loss and recovery. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does a species even end up on one of those pages? It's definitely not a random process or a gut feeling. The IUCN has this incredibly detailed system for ranking the risk of extinction, which creates this really clear scale of survival. Think of the IUCN scale as a ladder of risk. It starts at the bottom with species of least concern, and it goes all the way to the top to extinct. Now, in between, you've got these other steps like near threatened and extinct in the wild, which just, is the heartbreaking idea that they only exist in places like zoos. For today, we're going to zero in on the three most critical warning levels. That's vulnerable, endangered, and critically endangered. These are the species that are officially on that countdown clock. And this is absolutely the most important part to remember. These aren't just subjective labels or someone's opinion. A species gets classified based on hard data, on rigorous science. They look at things like how fast its population is dropping, how many are actually left, and how much of their natural habitat is gone. Let me try to put this into perspective for you, because the numbers are wild. For a species to be called vulnerable, its population had to have dropped by more than 50% in just 10 years. But to be critically endangered, that number jumps to a truly staggering 90% decline in that same 10-year window. The margins for survival are just razor thin. And sometimes the numbers are even more stark. Sometimes it all comes down to one single terrifying number. A species gets classified as critically endangered if there are fewer than 50 mature individuals left in the wild. That's it. That is the razor's edge between hanging on and disappearing forever. So now that we get the system, let's make it real. We're going to focus on India and see which amazing animals are on this code red list, the ones facing an extremely high risk of extinction right now, as we speak. And honestly, this list is just heartbreaking. It includes these incredible creatures like the Pygmy Hog, the world's smallest wild pig, and the Malabar Civet, which is one of the rarest mammals on the entire planet. And then you have animals that are literally confined to these tiny little pockets of the world, like the Namdapha flying squirrel, found in only one single reserve, or the majestic Kashmir Stag, found in just one national park. And the threat isn't just on land. It extends right into the water. India's reptiles are in a deep crisis too. You've got the Gharial, this totally unique-looking crocodile with a long, skinny snout. It's critically endangered. And so is the magnificent Leatherback Turtle, the giant of the turtle world, along with so many other species that are just hanging on by a thread in the country's rivers and oceans. But here's the thing. That critically endangered list, as scary as it is just the most urgent tip of the iceberg. The danger gets so much wider when you look at the next steps down, endangered and vulnerable. And these lists include some of the planet's most famous and beloved animals.
So on the endangered list, which means a very high risk of extinction, you find these truly iconic names. The Bengal tiger, the red panda, the Indian elephant, even the Ganges River dolphin, this remarkable animal that's basically blind and navigates its world using sound. These are animals that are woven right into the fabric of ecosystems and cultures.
And then there's the vulnerable list, which means a high risk of extinction. Here you'll find the elusive snow leopard, the powerful one-horned rhino, and the gentle dugong, also known as the sea cow. This list is like the final alarm bell. It's a sign that if we don't do something, these species are on a direct path to becoming endangered.
I know. Looking at all these lists can feel completely overwhelming, like we're just reading a catalog of loss. But that is not the real purpose of the Red Data Book. It was never meant to be a collection of obituaries. It's designed to be a tool for action.
And this brings us right back to those green pages we talked about. Remember, their entire purpose is to measure success. It's right there in the design. An increase in green pages is the ultimate goal. It's the clearest sign that our conservation efforts are actually working. So when you boil it all down, the Red Data Book gives us the hard data, the focus, and the urgency we need. It's not just a list of what we're losing. It's a scientific guide for what we must protect. A roadmap telling us exactly where to put our efforts. And all of this leaves us with one final crucial question, doesn't it? We have the book. We have this meticulous record of what's at stake. The data is clear. So the real question for all of us is, what will it take to finally turn the tide? To start adding more green pages and write a whole new chapter of recovery?